Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
What is going on, everyone? I go by RB, and this is Philly Take with RB. Now, Eagles Nation, we are 1 day away from the draft. Go ahead and smash that like button if you are excited like I am. And if you're new to the channel and you want to stay updated on some great Philly content, well, go ahead and hit that subscribe. So today I want to bring you guys just my final thoughts collectively as a whole, just tell you what I think the Eagles need to most importantly hit on to be successful in this draft, kind of give you some of the picks that I think the Eagles will deliver on, and just throw in a few bold predictions at the end to spice it up. Who's excited, man? I'm freaking excited. My plan for this draft, to let you guys know, is to probably cover each night of the draft in a separate video. But of course, for the first pick or two, or maybe three, I'll definitely do a reaction video, right after the pick happens, as long as there's no trades or anything like that. But I'm freaking excited to share this with you guys. I think this is one of the biggest drafts in years for the Eagles. Probably the biggest since, we went up and traded and got Carson Wentz. This is going to be absolutely crazy. So what I will start with is the most important thing. It's obvious, The Eagles need to deliver and get a wide receiver who will come in and be ready from day one. A guy who will put us onto that next level. We have a good core here, but we need to hit on a receiver. Obviously, we didn't last year, but now is the time. There has not been a wide receiver class as deep as this one. There are so many options. We cannot get this one wrong. We sat through free agency. We upgraded the defense. Some great moves by Howie Roseman. But we did nothing on offense. Nothing at all. So this is absolutely the time, and we have to hit. That's number one. We got the obvious out of the way, right? The Eagles need a wide receiver. We can't miss. Now, in addition to that, I personally think the Eagles need to land a linebacker or two who will come in and be, adequate playmakers. We need linebackers in here. Jatavis Brown's not going to be the number one guy. Nathan Gary is not going to be the number one guy, even though I like him. We need some playmakers. And like I said, it's gone under the radar too long, and I expect it to as well. We need linebackers. We'll get into it in just a second. Going even further, I would love to see the Eagles draft a safety or another playmaker on defense that I could think would help this team out and be a late round kind of gem possibly. There's so many things that you can do, and we'll get to my bold predictions in just a second. But let me say, I think the Eagles make a big splash on draft night. Now, let's get into the first round. So we've been talking the Eagles, obviously. If Howie doesn't go wide receiver at this point, it's like what? He has to have been hearing everybody. They ask him about this kind of stuff in interviews. He tries to, play it off a little bit, but Howie has to go wide receiver in the first round. Now, the talks are the Eagles going to trade up? Now, I saw yesterday that Jerry Jeudy is sliding down the draft board. Apparently has an undisclosed knee injury. That's going to hurt. We've seen it happen to other guys in recent years, and that sucks for him. And it also sucks for the Eagles because me personally, my number one option would be CeeDee Lamb. I think he's aggressive. I think he's a playmaker, and I think he's going to be a day one receiver who has a boatload of talent and will develop at the next level. I would love to see the Eagles land this guy, but now I really think he's going to be the first receiver off the board. Now, I see one of two things happening. Either I see the Eagles trading a boatload of draft capital, a first, a second, a fourth, whatever, jumping all the way up to maybe 10 or 11 and snagging CeeDee Lamb and making the big splash of the draft. I could really see that happening. That's one of two possibilities. The other thing, which I believe will be more realistic, and this is what I do think, by the way, will happen in the first round for the Eagles. I think we will move up a couple slots, maybe 3, 4, or 5 slots. And I'm telling you, folks, I believe Henry Ruggs III will be an Eagle tomorrow night. I believe Howie does not want to expend as much draft capital. I will tell you why in just a second. But I think we will be moving up. Howie's moved up in 6 of the 9 drafts or whatever that he's conducted so far. I mean, he knows he has to hit, and he didn't do anything in free agency. I see Howie pulling something out of the hat and moving up to select Henry Ruggs, the third out of Alabama. The guy, the speed is undeniable. The playmaking ability, he's going to be special. Him and D-Jack, I mean, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but him and Deshaun Jackson, how do you stop that? I think the Eagles move up and get Henry Ruggs. And here's bold prediction number 1, folks. Listen up. As we do that, I believe Howie Roseman will make a trade on draft night. A big trade. I think the Eagles could go out and acquire Yannick Ngakoue from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Whether it's going to take our second, a fourth, and a first next year, or whatever it's going to take. I think Howie figures it out. We talked about this a couple days ago. Yannick's trade value continues to decline as he's, having these outbursts on Twitter. I think the Jags want to get rid of him, and I think the time is now. I believe the Eagles somehow, some way, will acquire Yannick Ngakoue in the draft and still end up with a quality receiver in the first. But I could see either one of the two possibilities that I went over happening. So we go to the second round. We have the 53rd pick. I see Howie moving up possibly again, maybe 5 or 10 slots if we have enough resources after whatever we do in the first. And here's where I'll be brutally honest with you guys. I'm always honest. And as bad as we need a linebacker, as bad as we've talked about Patrick Queen and Kenneth Murray, and I would love to have one of those two guys here, I just think the Eagles don't do it. I don't think we get a linebacker until maybe the 4th or 5th round. And it hurts me to say the position continues to be undermined. But it's just not in the Eagles' blood. It's not in our nature to go and select a linebacker early in the draft. This would be the time to do it. I think Murray's a guy who could possibly fall, or even Queen. But I don't see us doing it. I see us getting into one, maybe like a Davion Taylor, or maybe like a Logan Wilson later on in the draft. So with our second round pick, I'm telling you guys, what I could see happening is the Eagles trading up, but picking a position that no one really views as the top priority on this team. A longtime friend of mine, Cesar Ruiz, he's a local guy, a center. We've heard about him. He could potentially be the next center replacement for Jason Kelce. Sadly, I don't think he will be there, come the 35s, the 40s, the 45s. I think he's going to go into first round. I think he slid up draft boards. Shout out to my guy, man. Good luck to you in the league. I know we've been talking his stuff. So we don't get him. I think the Eagles potentially go safety in the second round. A guy like a Winfield or a guy like Jeremy Chin. I could really see the Eagles going out and getting one of these playmakers. A dude that I think is really slept on is Grant Delpit from LSU. So if we go there, say we go safety in the third round, this is where it gets tricky. I think the Eagles will get a second receiver by the third round. I do believe the Eagles come out of this draft in the first 3 rounds with 2 receivers. Now, who's going to be there? I feel like we're going to see a lot of, things that stump us on draft night. Like guys might go higher, guys might go lower. We already heard Rappaport talk about that. I could see the Eagles ending up with a guy like T. Higgins or maybe a KJ Hamler, even though I wouldn't go for Ruggs and Hamler. I think they're both two of kind of similar, big play type of dudes potentially, even though it would be crazy if we do end up getting Ruggs in the first. I could see a more powerful guy like a T. Higgins in the third, maybe a Claypool. I don't know if he's going to convert to tight end or whatever he's doing, but if we don't go wide receiver in the third, I would be surprised, and I could see us going on later on for a guy maybe like Duvernay in the fourth, if he's there in the fourth, or, a Quez Watkins. I've heard about him later on. I wish we could end up with Jalen Reagor. I really like what I see from him, but I just think he's going to go in the second round. What I will hope is that the Eagles go and just get some playmakers, guys that they see with the ability to develop into professionals. We have to hit linebacker. I hope we do. I hope we do, guys, in the second or the third. But knowing the Eagles, I just see us waiting to the 4th or 5th to address linebacker. One dude I could see going to the Eagles later on in the draft, and this wouldn't surprise me at all, is John Runyon Jr. I think he's proven at least somewhat at Michigan, and, the father-son ties. I could see the Eagles going for a guy like him. If we ended up with an offensive lineman like Matt Hennessy, I wouldn't be surprised. I do see the Eagles going for offensive and defensive linemen. It's just in the Eagles' nature. We always have to address the trenches. Even though we have a lot of talent, there's always room to add more. And then, as you get to the 5th and the 6th and the 7th, I mean, those are more developmental players. There's guys that have come out of those rounds and have proven themselves to be star-studded players. And I don't like to, like I said, I don't like to get in too deep to those, but what I will hope is that the Eagles address every position that needs to be addressed. Linebacker, wide receiver, safety, okay? We have to prioritize in this draft, and we have to come out with playmakers and guys with good attitudes and guys that we can see developing going into the future. But overall, we know, right? We know the key component of this draft. You have to hit on wide receiver. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Come out of here with a playmaker in the 1st, snag another guy in the 3rd or 4th, and if you want to come out of your comfort zone a little bit, go linebacker in the 2nd. Move up, maybe trade up back into the 1st at the end. Get Kenneth Murray. Like, come on, man. We have to go all in. I don't see this as a rebuild at all. I know we thought of it like that initially, but I'm telling you, we will be right where we were or even better. And the other bold prediction that I was thinking of is the Eagles go and make a crazy splash on draft night. The only way I'd be all right with not getting one of these quality receivers in the draft is if we had to go out and trade for Odell Beckham Jr. And even if we went out and got him from the Browns, I mean, they've said they've shut the rumors down. But if we got Odell Beckham Jr. and we still were able to come out with a wide receiver in the draft, at least, a guy in the top 3 rounds, that would be insane. That's a little less likely to happen. I do think, though, the Eagles will find a way to go out and trade for Yannick Ngakoue. That's my bold prediction of the draft. But we have to hit. We have to get the right guy, because if we come out of the 1st round and we don't have one of these quality receivers, if Howie Roseman goes and picks some other position, I mean, the streets of Philadelphia will riot. I'm telling you. Let me know all your guys' thoughts down below. Give me some bold predictions. Let me know what you're thinking. How are you feeling with 1 day to go until the draft? Leave all your thoughts below. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Perfect.